So y'all know that I recently got the new M1 Max 16-inch MacBook Pro, and I'm obsessed. I think you know that too, because I've already done several videos talking about how obsessed I am. But there are several accessories that I have either purchased recently or I've had for a while with other MacBook Pros that I need to share with you because they will make your life easier as a MacBook user. So I'm gonna share some of my favorite accessories. This should be fun. Hey, howdy, hey, y'all, what is up? If you are new here, welcome. I'm Jessica Stansberry, and I am pumped that you are here. If you haven't watched some of my more recent content where I'm talking about what a beast this bad boy is, I will link some videos down below. I did a fun editing test on it. I talked about editing with it. I literally got rid of my perfectly fine iMac that had an Intel chip because this puppy is such a beast when it comes to editing that I really didn't need that other computer. And so now I have several accessories I want to share with you, especially as I go from someone who has a MacBook and a desktop computer to someone who is literally using their MacBook for everything, including as a desktop computer. You know what I mean? So first and foremost, let's talk about this mouse. This is the Logitech MX Master 3, and I absolutely love it. I have actually talked about this mouse before, I think in my Amazon favorites video, but I love it for a lot of reasons. One, it can switch between multiple computers. And so like when I was still using my iMac before I sold it, I was able to very quickly with the push of a button, if I was sitting here like editing on my MacBook Pro and I was sitting there where my iMac was, I could very quickly like hit the button and go from that computer to this one and whatever else. But also it has so many buttons and like so many fun things. So obviously it has regular buttons. It has this scrolly wheel, which is also a button. It has this button. It has these side scrollies, which are perfect for editing in Final Cut Pro or really anything where you're gonna scrub side to side. And then it has these two buttons and this button here. And you can program all of these buttons. So like this one can do something in Photoshop and something different in Final Cut Pro, or the same thing with these. So I absolutely love this mouse. The other thing that makes me fall in love with it is, unlike the Apple mouse, because I've been an Apple mouse girl like basically my whole existence, unlike the Apple mouse, you can charge this thing from the front and keep on using it. Whoever designed the Apple mouse to literally be unusable while it's being charged obviously doesn't let their things die very often. So this puppy can charge in the front, you can still use it. So I love it. It has been great. I was actually very nervous about getting a non-Apple mouse, but I will also say that it's designed to be like ergonomic, you know, so like your hand fits really well on it. And I will say that that is true. I actually had to use the Apple mouse for a little bit editing one day, but I forget why. It doesn't matter. But my hand cramped, and this puppy doesn't do that. So love this mouse. All right, the next accessory, and this is truly what is enabling me to go from iMac user with a MacBook to MacBook as the main computer, and that is this monitor back here. I'm gonna have to read this. I got the LG 32UN 880B 32-inch ultra-fine Ergo 4K display. And if that is not a mouthful, I don't know what is, but I love this thing. The quality is so great. It's big. It's actually bigger than my iMac screen was, which, you know, makes me happy. And it's very easy for me to just set my computer down on its stand and then plug in the HDMI and plug it into power. And my favorite part about this monitor is that, well, it's two things. One, you can actually use the monitor as the power source via USB for your MacBook. So when I put it up on its stand, I take a USB cable that is running out of the back of the monitor and plug it into the MacBook, and that powers the MacBook Pro. Then, because I have it powering the MacBook Pro through the monitor actually acts as a USB hub for the computer. So there's several ports on the back, some regular USB. The USB-C is being used to power the Mac, so I don't really have an extra USB-C port there, but regular USB ports, and I am using that to power both my Rodecaster Pro and my webcam, which is a Canon M50, because they both have regular USB, and so I'm just plugging them back into the monitor. So I am loving this puppy. It's definitely high end, but not like the super high end like XDR displays from Apple. I'm loving it. I can't say enough good things about it. And while we're on the topic of having ports in the back of the monitor and it being like a port hub, I'm also loving this OWC Thunderbolt Hub, which has 4 Thunderbolt 4 USB ports in it, as well as actual regular USB ports as well. So I am basically running this into the computer when I need it to extend the hubs and not have to have a bunch of things coming out of my MacBook when I am working at the monitor. So I just have to plug the MacBook into the power source and into the HDMI, and then I have everything else just stationary sitting there ready for me to use whenever I'm ready to do that, rather than use it as a laptop. This next thing is definitely not MacBook specific, but I feel like I would be remiss not to mention it, and that is my LaCie hard drives. So I have been using these for years. This is actually a big daddy. He's like 4 terabytes or something. I just got him, but I've been using these for years, and what's really cool is you can get them as USB-C rather than having to have them as USB. So I don't need dongles and all of the things to plug this in. And honestly, that's like worth mentioning on its own, is that because of the ports in this awesome new MacBook Pro design, I don't have to have a dongle to plug in HDMI. I have multiple USB-C ports, and as long as I am making sure I order things with USB-C instead of USB, I really don't need a lot of dongles, which has been great. But these LaCie hard drives are great. I think it's LaCie and not Lacey. I could be wrong, but they're great, they're durable, all the things. I don't edit off a hard drive or anything anymore. That is what I was doing before when I didn't have an M1 chip in my computer, but I use the hard drives as backups. So like, you know, all of my footage I actually dump in a Dropbox so that I have it anywhere I go, but I also back up any important footage or anything that I think I might need again, like B-roll or whatever, onto a LaCie hard drive. And so I just love having those laying around, especially the ones with the USB-C cable. All right, last but not least, and this is for sure not an exhaustive list of all the things that I use with my MacBook Pro, but it's definitely the things I could think of off the top of my head, you know, that make my life easier or are just fun. And that is this fish skin like cover situation. I have mentioned this in another video, I think you're gonna see this one after I mentioned it in a different one, but this is just like a sticker that goes on the top. In the bottom, you can actually just get it for the top or whatever, but it is like made for the specifications of the Mac. And in theory, it's super easy to remove and like change out and whatever. And it protects your, you know, computer from scratches and all the things. But I love it because it just makes my computer look so pretty. I want a more colorful one next, I think, but I love this one so much because it just makes the whole MacBook look super cute and pretty. And why would you not want that? And the reason I went with something like this, and by the way, I was targeted on a Facebook ad and they won, and I'm thrilled with the purchase. But the reason I went with something like this, that's just like a sticker that's just gonna protect against scratches and not like drops, is because I almost always, if I'm carrying my laptop, I'm going to have it in a bag anyway. So like a hard case or something like that isn't necessary for me. But also, she's thick, you know? She's a big girl. She's a big girl. So is he. I'm talking a lot about the girth of these things that I'm mentioning, but she's big and she is heavy, and putting a case that's like clicks on is just gonna add weight, and I definitely did not want to do that. So I am loving these fish skin things. I'm linking everything I'm talking about below in the description, so I'll make sure I link these. I'll link to this one specifically, and then you can browse all of the cool ones that they have. But that's been one of my favorite purchases specific to the M1 Max MacBook Pro situation. And that really rounds it out. You know, you really don't need a lot of things with your MacBook, especially if you're just using it as a laptop. But because I'm using it as kind of a hybrid and I want to have a desktop version available, I had some fun things I wanted to share. Also, how are y'all liking like my new setup? Do we like it? I feel like we like it. I like it. I am very excited about playing around with lighting in here because I can kind of block off windows a little better than I could before, and also playing around with angles and being able to, you know, film at different angles. So I'm pumped about that. And I would absolutely love to hear what some of your favorite MacBook accessories are. If you're a Mac user, you've been using MacBooks for a while, you don't have to have the new one, but what are your favorite accessories? I'm always looking for new fun things. If I was still living the dongle life, I would totally share like the dongle hubs. And actually, let me share one of those because it's definitely worth a mention. This is probably my favorite little hub situation for the MacBook. And again, I'm not using it a ton with this one because I have plenty of ports in it and I don't really need it as much, but I was definitely using it before in my like 2016, no, 2015, 2016, whatever, other MacBook Pro. And I have the one, you've seen the one, I don't know where it is, but you've seen the one that like has two USB-Cs and like plugs in and doesn't have this part and then has all of these. I actually prefer the one with the actual dongle because it stays put more. I don't have to worry about like bumping it out of the USB-C. This has the SD card slots and the regular USB 3 slots and HDMI. So if you are still living the dongle life, definitely worth picking up. This one's from FleePal. I don't know, but I like it. So let me know your favorite accessories below in the comments, and I would also love to hear what other videos you would like to see. You know, is there anything you want me to test out on this M1 Max? Is there, you know, other things you want to learn about? Love to hear it in the comments below. And until next time, bye y'all.